Hello guys, hope you're doing well during this crazy time. Personally, not much has changed for me, as I'm normally sat on my ass anyway, either reading law textbooks or playing video games. I did promise a Star Citizen review in my last video, so here we are today. Now, back when I was on the fence about Star Citizen, I came across two different types of reviews on YouTube. On one camp, there were die-hard fans who vehemently defended the game, skirted around some of its major issues, and spoke of it very highly. And the other side sported satirical, piss-takey type videos. I was unsure who to believe. Then I came across a small live streamer called Mel12345 with like 20 viewers. But what caught my eye was his title, New to Star Citizen ... Ask any questions. I joined his chat and bombarded him with questions. Questions which he answered very fairly and objectively. Things like, what's the cheapest way to get into Star Citizen? What can you do? What if you want to buy a different ship? Does it run well? After all of these questions were ironed out, I gained a newfound respect for the Star Citizen community. It was very similar to Arma's community actually. It's willing to help new players, tight-knit, and passionate about the game they were playing. And it was at this point where I bit the bullet and bought into Star Citizen. Something which many argue is a pipe dream that will never truly be finished. It seems that the two camps on either side of Star Citizen are those that loyally believe in its future release one day, and those that coin it Scam Citizen, claiming that it's too ambitious and it will never release. Whatever your perspective, what's clear to me is that Star Citizen is innovative. No one has attempted such a game on such a grand scale, with such huge ships on multiplayer, with different planets you can fly in and out of. Now, the game has amassed a staggering $300 million and growing from a loyal fan base of backers. It was originally announced with a release date of 2014 during its Kickstarter campaign. Currently, its Alpha 3.9 patch is scheduled later on in 2020, with not even a beta in clear sight for now. For some, it's a risky investment to make, especially when some of the prices of the ships you can buy veer into new graphic card or cheap package holiday territory. Of course, these more expensive options aren't your only way to buy into the verse. The cheap Alpha Mustang package gives you a mini starter ship to scout the Stanton system in for around £35 to £40. I originally bought this package, but once I had my first taster of space flight across the massive, sprawling, beautiful spacescape CIG had crafted, I ventured deeper into my student overdraft and bought the Cutlass Loot and Scout package. There was something mesmerising about getting a new ship. They are all lovingly marketed with trailers like you're seeing on screen now, and they even have manuals that are specific to the type of manufacturer they were created by, adding a sense of lore to the game. One YouTuber known well to the Star Citizen community, Morphologist, has dedicated entire videos to dissecting the architecture of the ships in the game. Now, this is where things become risky. If you have an addictive personality like I do, it can become really easy to fall down that slippery slope where you keep spending more and more on glitzy new ships. Yeah, you can work your way up to buy them with in-game currency, but resets happen unexpectedly. Crashes can wipe any progress you make, and renting ships is only a temporary measure. Buying it outright so it's in your virtual hangar is the tried and tested way. There is also a subscription service where you can get a ship of the month to play with, but again, this is only temporary. I remember when I was like 13 or 14 and I had an old school iPod Touch, and I used to play a game called Metal Storm Online religiously. On the game, you could buy new types of fighter jets with the in-game currency, but the game made its sales with the weaponry you could arm your planes with. Advanced heat-seeking missiles were sold for real-life money. Yes, you heard that right. Pay real dosh to shoot fake online planes out of the sky. Now, things got out of hand fast, and I got in a lot of trouble with my parents for nabbing their credit card and ranking up almost 50 quid's worth of online transactions. After that, I tried to steer clear of games that gave me that kind of purchasing power. Now, Star Citizen isn't by any means a compulsory spend as much as you can game, but there is that risk, and I want to make you aware of it. If, like me, your self-control isn't great, you can also join an organisation. This is basically like a mini clan where you can play with a group of real players, but best of all, you can share their ships. If you join a decently sized org, you can fly some of their ships you'd never even dream of purchasing yourself. Again, they're not your own personal ships, but it depends how much that kind of thing really matters to you. Unfortunately, this is how Star Citizen makes its cash: ship sales. How much you invest into this business model is up to you and your wallet / how well you can hide it from your significant other. The pros. The game is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, seriously. And when I say that, I don't mean basic levels of graphics, things we expect out of modern games, good lighting, textures, etc. What makes it so jaw-dropping is its gut-wrenching attention to detail to the most minuscule of things. Landing gear folds away with beautiful animations, thrusters match their level of throttle output, and best of all, there's the sheer scale of the game. You can be flying up in the ebbs of deep space where it's almost mathematically impossible for another player to discover you because it's so huge. Then you can quantum jump, which is the game's mechanic to make it easier to travel from point to point to a far-flung planet, space station or moon. From here, you can begin diving into its atmosphere, your afterburners roaring as you go. Soon enough, the curvature of that planet disappears as you get closer and closer to the surface. The lay of the land will begin to form from glaciers, tundra, to forests and deserts, industrial cities, mining outposts, farms and snowy skyscrapers. You can then land your ship on said planet, get out and go off exploring. There are some interiors to the buildings and even bounty missions which require you to land and use your weapons in a shoebox sized location as you would in an FPS game. Alternatively, you can unload a vehicle from within your ship. I could have a wheeled vehicle stored, bring it out of the ramp and go off exploring in it. Even more excitingly, we have capital class ships on the horizon, which are unspeakably huge. They're like aircraft carriers, but fully flyable, operational, and able to land in planetary atmospheres. They look absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see them flying around. Now, back to the exploration. You can be landed somewhere, look up, and see that sky out there was where you came from. There's just something really mind-boggling about it. Stanton's sun will rise and fall across the planetary moons with a full day-night cycle, and the weather effects such as blizzards will also come into play. There's something really magical about doing this very simple action of flying to a random planet, zooming into its atmosphere, getting out, exploring, getting back in again, taking off, and flying back into deep space. For many, this alone has sold them. The cons. For me, this is really the honeymoon period of the game, where you're still discovering the huge universe that encircles you in these beautiful detailed ships, but like all good things, they must come to an end. Once you've been to every moon on the Stanton system, had a good insight to some of the various missions you can undertake, played with other players in a multi-crew ship, been mining, taken part in a fight club, upgraded your ship, bought a new one, done some bounties, yada yada yada. You sort of just run out of things to do. The beauty of the game is like a backdrop, or for lack of a better word, a theatrical spectacle. Some have even likened the gameplay to that of a visiting tourist on a holiday destination. Players return for a fleeting glance of the latest update, and then fizzle away to other games after they're done with their sightseeing. The game has a curious ability to dazzle for the first few times, but after a while it can become easy to meander around Star Citizen's ghostly cities and landing zones. Yeah, there are NPCs wandering around, standing on chairs, this is a well-known bug by the way, but none of it feels alive, and this is worsened by the long stretches of time spent doing absolutely nothing. For example, in Quantum Jump, you may be pulled out by AI pirates or the police equivalent of the verse to scan your ship for a criminal record, but apart from that, it can be 10 minutes or so of just sitting and twiddling your thumbs, tabbing out to watch a YouTube video and waiting. People have argued that long quantum jump times add to the expansive feeling of the verse, and without them, the game would lose its feeling of grand scale. But I disagree. I think a balance needs to be struck between fun and realism. And DayZ actually faced a very similar problem. Either reduce the time spent in quantum jump, or give the player something to remain engaged, like maintenance tasks in their cockpit. And if you don't do these tasks, the ship could fall out of quantum drive, or worse, become damaged. It should be something which makes quantum jumping risky, compelling, and rewarding, not a snooze fest. Now, CIG wants Star Citizen to be an MMO-like experience, but in order to do that, the game must be able to handle large player loads. Currently, servers are capped at around 40 players, which is due to improve, but in the present state, the game is devoid of life, save some of the more commonly visited areas of the verse like Port Olisar, Grim Hex and Lorville to name a few. Now, this lack of gameplay loop has been defended by fans as an unfair statement to make when the game is clearly in alpha. I see this, however, I believe potential players who are on the fence about getting Star Citizen should have all the facts before they buy into it. Now, to the credit of the devs, the game has been updated very regularly with decent sized patches that fix bugs and add sought after features from the roadmap. For example, early medical gameplay, so it's not like the devs have vanished entirely. In terms of FPS, as I thought I might as well mention this, I get around 30 FPS worst case scenario with the occasional stutters, but 70 to 80 FPS elsewhere as an average. I'm running an i7-6700K, 32GB of RAM, a GTX 1070 and a 1080p monitor. Oh, and I've also heard the game is pretty drive streaming heavy, so it helps to install on an SSD. Performance is okay. It's definitely not a huge con, but keep it in mind, the game will struggle on weaker PCs. However, it was when I logged into Star Citizen following the release of the highly anticipated Anvil Carrack, which goes for an eye-watering 480 quid, that I realised the true extent of the game's emptiness. I had been following the hype train leading up to the Carrack's release on Reddit. I found a player who'd let me look around whilst he flew from Port Olisar, and yes, it's a beautiful ship, but there was no depth to what I could actually do inside it. The drone rooms, yet to be implemented. The repair bay, not in yet. The cartography deck, just a pretty face. And as soon as you start adding more than 10 players to the ship, people just start clipping, glitching, falling out and lagging all over the shop. Now, CIG are of course planning on fixing these kinds of issues in later builds with networking improvements, but they're symptomatic of a deeper issue in my opinion. The devs keep adding graphical gloss, new moons, new weather effects, new veneer to the verse, but one fundamental truth remains unbroken. The gameplay loops are either extremely limited or just not implemented yet. Yes, the game is in alpha. Yes, they need to keep player interest with new shiny things to play with. I just wish there was more of a purpose to what we can do in the verse. And this is what halted me in my tracks when I was about to buy yet another expensive ship. I've invested my slice in the Star Citizen pie, but I couldn't invest anymore. I believe in the project, and I am hopeful it will be a success one day. When? I don't know. And I don't think even CIG themselves know. If you want a beautiful space sim to do the odd mission in that is unmatched in detail, graphical fidelity and scale, Star Citizen is a safe buy. If you want a game that will keep you occupied for hours on end with uninterrupted, bug-free gameplay, full of interesting nuances and gameplay loops, hold off and just watch the game develop. As I've said before though, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, and this is just my opinion, not my arsehole, just to clarify. Anyway, I hope this review addressed some of your buyer concerns if you're unsure about whether Star Citizen is a worthy purchase. Thanks for watching as always, guys and girls, and a huge thank you for helping me to hit a mammoth 10,000 subscribers. Big love, everyone. Tommy out.